The Horn Hardart. Oh my God. That was such a special treat. My parents never really went out to restaurants for whatever reason. I don't think it's because they couldn't afford to. I don't know, they just were not worldly in any way. We would, if we did go out, we went to two restaurants. We went to the Chinese food restaurant on Tremont Avenue, because it must be near where we live, Tremont. I have to look at the map. Or to the Horn and Hardart. That was magic. My mother would give me a pile of nickels because what you had to do is this. You went to the sides of the restaurant inside that was all lined up with windows. And in those windows were all kinds of food. There were vegetables and plates. There was meat. There were dishes. There were desserts. There were breads. Everything was in a glass door, a little, so you could view what it is, and on the front it would tell you how many nickels it would take to purchase these things. So I would, because my parents didn't know anything about nutrition, of course, when nobody gave a crap about nutrition in those days, everybody probably ate all the wrong things, or no, there wasn't wrong things actually, because we grew up with meats and vegetables and kind of normal, in quotes, meals. But in those days, they offered everything in this Horn and Hardart. So I found from trial and error that my favorite thing to have, and of course I was also a creature of habit. I didn't know about other things. I mean, I never even heard the word lobster or shrimp or things like that. That was never, and it wasn't because we were Jewish, because I didn't know anything about religion either. It's just that my parents never bought it. My mother never bought it. She never cooked it. She never made it. And I never heard the word. We lived a different kind of life. It was not a life like you on the internet where you know everything, and the Food Network, I hear vegetables that I don't know what the hell they are. I hear them on the Food Network. What is that? It's amazing to me. I wouldn't even know what to look for. I never heard the words mentioned because they come from all over the world, which is another problem, which we'll get into at another time. But anyway, so my favorite meal that I used to have was mashed potatoes. Oh, I love their mashed potatoes. They had the greatest mashed potatoes. Mashed sweet potatoes. Oh, that was the only thing better than the regular mashed potatoes. And spaghetti. That was my meal. Mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, and spaghetti. I don't think I knew what a green vegetable was or ever ordered a green vegetable. And for dessert, the creme de la creme was a chocolate-covered, looked like a bell, chocolate-covered cake with the cream in the middle, like I guess a ring ding. It looked like a ring. It didn't look like a ring ding. It tasted much better than a ring ding, but it was, yeah. So it was white cake with cream inside, covered with beautiful chocolate on top. Yum 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 yum. And I don't know what I drank. I don't know if it was chocolate milk or I don't know. Anyway, there was nothing redeeming about the meal other than it was so good, tastes so good, and I think the most important part was I picked it myself. I never had control as a kid. I was always owned by somebody. That was how I felt. I was owned by my parents. They owned my mind even because, as I said, well, we're going to get into that also. No, let's get into it. I was owned, my mind was owned because when I was 6, my sister was put in the mental institution, and I was driven up there to visit her every Sunday. Every Sunday we would take her out of that locked situation, lockdown. When we first got there, she was lobotomized, so I didn't recognize her. They shaved her head, and that was another story. So I didn't want to go and be put there because I figure if she was put there, I could be put there. Wouldn't any kid think that? Sure. And my father made sure I understood that because when we were leaving, he'd point out the children's buildings. So I grew up with that idea that if I acted like my sister, because when they took her away, she was going crazy. She was screaming, not in the house. I don't remember that happening in the house. But I do remember, of course, when they were dragging her out into the car. And I figured, they're never going to do that to me. Because I'm going to be a good little girl. I am going to be quiet. I am never going to scream and yell and make my my thoughts understood, because if I got angry, they could lock me up in that hospital. And if they lock me up there, I'm going to starve myself to death. I'll never talk again. First, I'll never talk again. Then I'll stop eating and I'll starve myself to death. This is what a little girl, this is what I did and thought about when I was a child of the 40s.